without turning behind with his finger, he pointed behind him. I said, "Do you see the light?" I said, "No, I don't see any light." So he bent down, looked in my eyes, and said, "Look properly." I still remember his eyes, very sharp, Look properly. So second time when I look, amazingly, there was a ball of light, like the sun, bright, and with a disc of light around it, like a halo of light. I don't know how long that have lasted. And the voice, I heard a voice while I was looking at it. I said, "That's you."
I'd like to welcome to the show Paramahansa Vishwananda. Did I get it close?
Jai Gurudev. Yes.
Yes, thank you so much, Guruji. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I've wanted to have a conversation with you ever since I saw you, and the work that you're doing in the world and helping awakening the planet is just such a inspiration to me in the work that I do. So, first and foremost, I just want to say thank you so much for being here and thank you for what you do in the
Thank
world,
you,
my friend.
Alex.
So I wanted to take you back at the beginning. How did you begin this spiritual journey? Because I always tell people that, yogis and masters and people who are on the spiritual path at let's say a more advanced stage, they don't show up that way. They have to go through some stuff to get enlightened. Jesus didn't show up fully formed. Yogananda didn't show up fully formed. They have to go through trials. So I'd love to hear from you how this started for you.
Actually, you see, my journey is a bit different from them. At the same time, it's similar. But what is residing inside the spiritual soul, it's always in a waiting state, When, for Jesus, for example, you're taking an example, he waited 30 years to start his mission. For Yogananda also. But it doesn't mean that realization is not there. So for what dharma you have come into this world, and when would that manifest itself, it's always the right time. So a little bit about, for me, my spiritual journey, how it started. Why I say it's a bit different, because I didn't need to wait so long. I didn't need to wait 30 years. God was merciful on me. And for me, since I was very small, I think a certain degree of realization was there. But like every, kids, you just take it normal. Because if you grow up in a Hindu family, spirituality is part of your life also. Religiosity, let's put it like that. The Hindu religion is part of your life because God is not excluded. If you know the Hindu tradition, everything for us, we include God into it. So I grew up in a family which believe, not particularly that they are practitioners, but they believe in God. My grandma will worship every day, morning and evening. So that is a little background where I come from. And but my mom will say differently. When I was start to crawl, they will always find me in the temple, because every houses have a small temple. They will always find me in the temple. And as I grew up, they will always see me either nearby to our place. There was a church of Saint Anna, or there's a temple of Kali, the mother goddess. So that was the places where I spent my childhood. So I was normal. I was playing normal with everybody, But there's many things which was a bit different from other people. Like when I was small, I was inspired all the kids of the surrounding to do the fire ceremony. So we will be, it's not that I knew about what we were chanting or anything. So whatever mantra we know, that's what we were chanting. So all the children will gather around, just make a fire and we didn't even have ghee at that time. We use oil, cooking oil. So that's what we'll do. Swaha. Om Namah Shivaya, Swaha. Om Krishnaya, Swaha. So whatever mantra we knew, we would do. And funny thing is that the neighbor saw us, we would carry, their kids also were there. And one day he said, okay, we'll build a small place for you where you can do your yagna, your havan there. So in his back, in his garden, he built a small cottage with iron sheet. And there we will be doing. And the funny thing is that the fire will be from down to the roof of the cottage. That's how it was. Very exciting. So this was my play, actually. I would not say this my spiritual journey is taught by that, but it was something which was already inborn inside. It was not something outside. It was something which is inside. Because to do that, now I believe that it's not only in one life, you see. It is countless of lives, and you just carry on. And that was when I was very small. That's how we would play. When everybody was playing hide and seek, we will play. When we watch Ramayana, when we hear the story of Ramayana, we will enact with my cousin, with the kids in the surrounding, the neighbors. We will play Ramayana. That was how it was. But something happened.
So that was
when I was very small, probably you have heard about, where my master came to me.
Yes, is that Babaji?
Yes, Babaji? But at that time I didn't know it was Babaji. At that time I was thinking, well, like my mom will say, it was an uncle. It was just an uncle. So you have heard, I'm sure everybody have heard the story of how it is, but if you want, I can.
So I've actually never heard the story completely. I wanted to save myself the enjoyment of you telling it to me for the first time. I am aware of Babaji. And for everybody let's tell you the story first of how you met Babaji. Afterwards, maybe we'll do a small explanation of who he is for people who are not familiar with him.
Yeah. So my story, I would not say I met him, because it's the master that come to the devotees, So he came to me. So, in Mauritius, where I was born and grew up, when I was 5 years old around, there was a tree, a poisonous tree, like every tropical place. And that seed of the tree is very poisonous. So one day I sat down and I was eating. I ate so much of the seeds because what I remember, it tastes like peanuts. So I ate a lot of it and I fainted and I started foaming. So the kids, like I said, we used to, you see, where I grew up, all the kids used to play together. They rushed quickly to my mom and my dad. And they said, what happened? He had been eating the seeds and that happened. My dad rushed me quickly to the hospital, find a car and rushed to the hospital. And there the doctor have done what they have to do. They cleanse, they clean and they wash the stomach. And I'm here. So they were successful. And one day there was this young man with long hair standing outside the children ward and looking at all the kids, and all the kids was attracted to him, and he was giving sweets to all of them. So I went to him and asked him, why are you here? Which is a bit strange question, for a 5 years old to ask a grown up, why are you here? And I remember clearly, I asked him this question. Even now, when I think about it, I ask myself, why did I ask him this question? So I asked him, why are you here? And he looked at me and said, I came for all the children, especially for you. But it didn't make any sense to me. So he held my hand and he put 1 rupee and 1 sweet. I was so happy to see the 1 rupee, because you see, when you're small at that time, 1 rupee is 100 cents. You see, you remember at that time we used to use cents, and with 1 cent you can get 1 biscuit and 1 sweet, little sweet. So I was thinking it's a lot of money.
Sure.
So I was very happy to see that. So my attention was on that rupee. Then he asked me, do you know who you are? But a question to ask for a small child, doesn't mean anything. So I didn't answer him because it didn't mean anything to me. So without turning behind with his finger, he pointed behind him. I said, do you see the light? This time I looked behind him. Which light is he talking? There was the small hill. I was looking on the hill, look around, and I couldn't see any light. And I said, no, I don't see any light. So he bent down, looked in my eyes, and said, look properly. I still remember his eyes, very sharp, Look properly. So second time when I look, amazingly, there was a ball of light, like the sun, bright, and with a disc of light around it, like a halo of light. I don't know how long that have lasted. And the voice, I heard a voice while I was looking at it. I said, that's you. So how long did that last? I don't know. But when I came back to myself, this fellow said, I have to go now. Your mom and auntie is coming. He just lifted his hand in blessing. He just disappeared.
Like so, just dissolved into nothing?
Dissolved. He just disappeared. He just was not there.
He was just gone.
Yeah, it was just instantly gone. He just lifted his hand and he was just gone. So I was very excited to tell, when eventually my mom and my auntie came, I was very excited to tell them the story. And of course, you see, they just said it is a kid's story, that maybe I found it and that's it. So this is what I remember, the encounter with Mahavtar Babaji. Now I know it is him. But at that time, I didn't know who he was. So like that, many times he came to me in different aspects.
So for everybody listening, can you please tell everybody who Mahavtar Babaji is? In a short little explanation, if you can.
Okay, so Mahavtar Babaji, you have probably heard about in Autobiography of a Yogi, who described this great master, and which is still alive in the Himalayas. Actually, yes, Mahavtar Babaji is that great master, that great yogi itself, but who have been the guru of many great saints, many great sages, who have his darshan. And he's still around. Very often I encounter this question. People say, but if he's still around, why we don't see him? I say, but to see him, firstly, we have to cleanse ourselves now. Our mind have to be different state. Because just to see a great yogi, a great saint, a sage, just for our curiosity, that doesn't work. So that master is also the same. He's with everybody. Whoever called for him, he's there with them. But to perceive him, to feel him, to get to know about him, we have to build a certain relationship with him. The same thing with God, you see. God is present everywhere. Why some people have the grace of having a darshan, which means to have seen him, and some others who believe also but have never seen him. So like that, Mahavtar Babaji is also present. So luckily, he came to me when I was very young, and he came in so many times. Actually, he came to me. But like I said, I didn't know who he was. When I came to Europe first time, and everybody was talking about, because that is my story, I know about it. And then they said, oh, there is this great yogi, Mahavtar Babaji. When they showed me the picture of Mahavtar Babaji from Yogananda's book, actually, I said, yes, this was the same person. Looked exactly, not exactly, but similar to the person which came to me when I was 5 years old. And other time, he was there. So that was in the year 2000.
So what are some of the other encounters that you've had with Babaji? How has it evolved, this
how is it
relationship?
evolved? What I remember, for sure, he have come to me in many ways, which I don't remember, but what I remember was few months later, like I said, my mom, when I showed the coin and the sweet, my mom said, it's an uncle who have given you. So, okay. In Mauritius, you see, we treat everybody as uncle and auntie. This is our respect, Okay, fine, it's an uncle. So a few months later, or maybe a year later or something like that, can't really remember, I was by the dentist, and my molar was not good, and the dentist needed to extract it. So my mom was there inside because I didn't want, So the dentist put his finger and to put the injection. So he was checking. When he was checking my tooth, I bit his finger. And I would not let go, I would not let go. And my mom got really angry and said, no, you better release his finger, and of course she gave me a good slap and sent me out. And the dentist was saying, please don't be angry with him. If you don't want right now, next time, you can do it. I went outside crying. My mom need to pay for the dentist. So when I went outside, that uncle was there, standing. And he said to me, you've been naughty? I said, yes. I bit the finger because I don't want the dentist to remove the tooth. And then my mom came, just dragged me. I was crying. I said, Mom, look, this is the same uncle. When she turned, there was nobody there.
Of course.
And of course, she got even more upset. So this is an encounter. Then many encounter like this. But like I said, he was always there,
He's
and it is
always
a blessing.
there. He popped in and he popped out.
Yes, he comes and he goes,
It's such a beautiful story of how you encountered Babaji. Obviously, it seems that you've always known at a very instinctual soul level what your mission is in this life. And then as you evolved as a child, these ideas started to germinate.
As I evolved, you see, many things was different. Like I said, from little itself, there was this pull towards spirituality, but spirituality to what I knew at that time. So at the age of 14, something changed, and from one day to the other, it happened it was April, I think, 1992. So one day to the other, my life changed completely. Because before that, I was living a normal kid's life, playing, watching TV, cartoon, and everything. But there was always this spiritual. Whenever I will go to school, I will make a must to stop by the temple to look at the statue of Lord Shiva, and I will go. So when I come back, also the same thing that was always there, inside of me. And at the age of 14, something few days before what I will tell you later on, there was a picture of a saint that we have, Sai Baba of Shirdi. And you see, at home, like I said to you, my parents believe, but they were not religious. And they said, okay, you don't need to put the picture of gods everywhere, So, okay, fine. You can have only in the cupboard one little square, so don't have clothes, anything. So here you can put whoever you want inside it and lock it. So that was I would be doing my prayer at that time. I would light the incense and I will offer some sweets or a chocolate or some resins, whatever there is, or a little bit of water to all the gods which were inside, Krishna, Shiva, and everybody was inside. And there was also a small corner where that was allowed, where we had a statue of Durga and Lakshmi, and I think it was Krishna also. So that was allowed in a small corner outside. So the one which was inside was a picture of Sai Baba of Shirdi, the old man. And so every night I will do incense before going to bed. So one day, as I was sleeping, it was 2:00 in the morning, I wake up with there was something, a light was emanating from inside. So in my head, I said, I said a big word. I said, it's burning.
Yeah.
I said, my goodness, now my mom, more than the cupboard burning, I was thinking my mom will get super angry and I will go through afterwards. So I jump out of the bed, rush quickly to the cupboard, and open, because it was locked. I open it quickly, and to my amazement, when I open it, there was like a cool breeze, and it was not burning. It's just that around that saint, there was a like small dot of light was emanating, but very bright. And
Guruji, I have to.
Sorry.
No. I wanted to ask you something, because it's something. I mean, I've been studying the lineage of Yogananda and Babaji and autobiography of Yogi, and I've loved going down the Vedic philosophies and the yogic philosophies all my life. And I always love asking questions about, the guru's journey, the yogi's journey, the master's journeys. And there are these miracles that are always around certain saints, certain yogis. And I mean, the very famous ones obviously are levitation or biolocation, like Babaji does very, very, very well, obviously, among other things, and manifestation instantly, and these kind of things. Your experience in this world, have you experienced anything like that from other gurus?
That will come later on.
That's one of them.
That all started with this part of
these little hints, almost hints.
I will say, you see, I would not call it miracle, firstly. I would call it visiting cards or grace.
Okay.
Because this is the grace of God. When he calls somebody, he make everything possible. So when this happened, and I was so amazed and so wow, nice. So then I close it, and when it finished, then I went to sleep again. The next day when I woke up, I thought it was a dream. I said, "Oh, wow, a wonderful dream I had." But there was something different from that, you know. So that morning when I woke up, I have a different kind of mentality, was completely different. So something had changed inside. So I went to school, and I was in high school at that time, you know, college, sorry. So I went to college, and I was normal. Everything was fine. And I came back home. I saw my mom sitting and crying. I said, "What happened to you? Why are you crying?" I thought somebody died, you know, because she was in very big tears. So, and so I went, she said, "No, nobody died, but go inside." I said, I went inside the room. Everywhere there was a manifestation of ash. And it was smelling so strongly, you know, and wonderful perfume. And my mom said, "You put it." I said, "No, I didn't put anything. I didn't do anything, you know." I said, "You clean everything, please." There was a little bit only, you know, like specked only, like if you look at it, you will think that it is mold only. So my mom said, "No, clean." So we clean everything. She helped me. We clean everything nicely. She was calm. We went to, in spite of cleaning everything nicely. So a few hours later, it was much more. So before you could see the picture, now you could not see at all the picture. It was completely covered with that ash, and it would hold on the glass, you know. They were not, and everywhere was ash. Even on the small corner tablet that I was saying, it was full with ash. And she became crazy and started crying and, you know, hysteric a bit. Because nobody could understand, you know. It's not that there was somebody to tell you, yeah, this is happening because of something. Nobody was there to tell you anything. So this was my journey. You know? And she was crying, and this manifestation happened. And not only in my room, in her room, in the living room, everywhere. There was this ash coming from the ceiling, from the wall, from wherever, you know. So then we kept quiet. We told my auntie, and we kept quiet for 3 days. It was quiet, you know, but it was getting more and more and more and more. And
kept coming.
The ash was coming more and more, you know. It's called vibhuti.
Okay.
So my mom, there was a neighbor, an old lady, she was sick. So my mom said, "Okay, listen, there's something happening, but please don't say to anybody. When you say that to somebody, it's more faster than anything, you know." So she said, "Please come, maybe that can help you." So she came, my mom gave some of the ash, and she drank it, and she was fine. And she went around and tell it to everybody. So a few days later, when I came back, there was a queue of people. I went to school, and I went to college, and I came back, there was a queue of people want to go in my room and in the house to see this manifestation. And my mom was sitting there crying. Poor, you know, So this is how everything started, you know. And of course, then one auntie came and said, "Sit down and meditate." So we sat down one night and meditate. And when I sat down and sit in meditation, I went into a deep meditation, which nowadays we call it samadhi, you know. I didn't know at that time. I went into that state, and I didn't come out for 3 days. And in that journey, I visited many places, you know, many spheres, many other dimensions, whatever, for 3 days. But the shocking thing is that the body was still warm, so it's not dead. You know, So again, they were crying and all this. So when I came back, he was a completely different person.
Mm.
So
And
that
that's the
is
beginning of your journey.
that
And
is
that was the beginning.
well, that was the beginning of everything. That was the beginning of that journey itself. Yeah.
Guruji, I mean, we could spend hours just talking about what you saw in those 3 days. I'm sure.
Yeah, but normally I have never said it to anybody.
It's personal. It's
Yes.
personal.
Mhm.
Got you. So, one thing I wanted to ask you from a Westerner's point of view,
Mhm.
the idea of a guru, of a master and a student, or that kind of relationship is something that's very generational in your culture.
Mhm.
It's something that is very common. If someone is looking for a guru, or if a guru presents themselves, better question.
Mhm.
What should someone be looking for in a
Well,
guru? What is a
firstly,
guru's
you see,
job?
firstly, we have to remove all the idea what we think the guru have to be. Because you see, in the
Mhm.
mind, Western mind, because Western philosophy said, oh, it have to be like this, like this, like this. They have a cupboard where it's all written on a piece of paper, but the guru have to be like this, like this. But guru is there to remove, to break, and to challenge all these things. Yeah. You see, you put that in consideration. You think that, oh yeah, the guru must have a long beard, white hair. That I have encountered that many times. Many people have said to me, I've heard about you, but when I didn't know, when I see you, you don't. I expect that the guru have to have a long white beard and a long white hair, and
Mhm.
dress in a certain way. And because before I was wearing also normal clothes like everybody else. I said, yeah,
Mhm.
I imagine you like this. Yeah. And
Mhm.
many of the devotees have met me being also just dressed normal. Uh-huh. So the,
Really?
the
Yeah.
the mind of people are shocked. Said, yeah, but I expect the guru to be like this, like this, like that. But the guru is not bound by the idea of how it have to be. This is traditional, of course. You see, of course, if you're in India, everybody have an image of the guru have to be according to tradition and like this. No, but the guru is free. We can't understand with the mind the guru. What we can do, we can project our own limitation upon the guru. That's what we do. Our own
Mm.
rubbish, we project it upon the guru and say, yes, that is not. But guru are there to challenge that mind itself. Because if you are so attached to your ideas of how guru have to be, you will never
Mm.
grow. And of course, many people like to have a traditional guru, like who will always say yes, yes, yes to them. You see, as long as the guru say yes, yes, yes to you, and you like very much the talk of the guru, and you like very much how the guru present itself, but that is not the guru. In place of removing the darkness from your mind, it will increase the darkness inside of you. And this is how, when the guru present himself, when the guru came, you have to have firstly the longing for the guru inside of you. You have to have that, yes, I want a master. And then you pray to God, God, I want a master. Please send me my master. And when my master come, when your master will come to you, it will come in many ways. And it's not the way what you expect. And when you listen to all the devotees, when they have met the master, not only our devotee, but any guru's devotee, they will tell you how their own journey towards the master was. It's amazing, actually. And it is beautiful
Mhm.
because you see how you imagine the guru have to be. It will not be like that at all. And it's up to you whether you want to let the guru raise you to a higher standard, or you want to sit in the same state and say, yes, I want a guru, I want a guru.
Yes, if I remember correctly, Yogananda's guru, Yukteswar, was not what he expected.
Exactly. Exactly. But
And he
this is,
challenged them a lot
yes,
for many, many
if
years.
that is a master,
Mm.
that is the role of a master, to challenge. If a master doesn't challenge you, you will not grow.
That's the point, to
Yes.
grow.
You see, you have to grow. You have to become the self. Otherwise, you will have easy peasy, like so-called spiritual journey, you will never grow.
Is it the job of the guru to shine a light on the path for you to walk, for you to understand who you truly are?
That is the role of the guru. The guru have to do anything possible from his side to bring you to where you have to be. And it is not an easy job, I tell you.
It's not always pleasant.
No, it's not always pleasant, because you see, because people, they're full in their own ideas, They always look toward the outside, and the guru say, no. It's not about looking on the outside. It's to look inside. But that journey from outside to inside, it's not an easy journey for both, for the guru and for the disciple. Because the guru have to be very strict, The guru have to be, to break that barrier. Because you see, more you like to keep looking on the outside, keep looking. When you look on the outside, what do you see? Your own judgment. You project your own judgment upon the outside, and you judge the outside according to that. But once you start the spiritual journey, you start to look at yourself. You don't look at others anymore. You look at yourself. And this is the beginning of spirituality in your life, when you start to look at yourself firstly. For once you look at yourself, who you are, you're not looking at the idea of other people, no. And this is the role of the guru, to make you look at yourself, face your own reality. When you start facing your own reality, you transform yourself. You grow. And that is what many people don't want to look at themselves.
If you're enjoying this conversation, I invite you to go deeper down the rabbit hole with me on Next Level Soul TV. It's packed with exclusive content like live special guest Q&As, daily podcasts, commercial-free access to the entire Next Level Soul catalog, early access to episodes before they air, and special meditations you won't find anywhere else. We will be adding new exclusive content every month, plus you can connect with me during my monthly live streams. Just go to nextlevelsoul.com/subscribe and join our soulful community today. I'll see you on the inside. Most people do not want to look at themselves, but Guruji, it's so much easier to judge others than to look at yourself, sir.
Yes, it is easy. Because you see, like you use the word judge, everybody is a born judge. I was giving a satsang, I was telling, you see, to become a judge, you have to study many years to be able to judge. But very often you encounter people which is complete judgment. They are the one who knows everything, They are the one who, I know better than you, let me judge you.
Guruji, let me ask you, why is it so difficult for people to look inward? Because it's scary. People are afraid of looking in the mirror. People are afraid of digging inside of themselves. Are they afraid of what they're going to find and what they're going to have to deal with? Why is it?
You see, Alex, when you look at on the outside, you keep projecting your own negativity. you keep projecting your own ideas upon. So you build that idea and this negativity into a big mountain. Like that, you don't need to face your little negativity which you hold inside of you. You see, which you have, if you have already project that negativity onto the outside and this appeared like a huge mountain, your negativity is nothing. So what do you do? You feel good with your own negativity by making everybody else negative. By the world is bad, everybody else is bad, everybody else is negative. So you project your own negativity upon. So you don't look at your own negativity that you have to change. So to look at your own negativity is not wrong. This is how you have to change. But people don't like to, because people think they are perfect.
Their egos do. Their
Yes,
egos think
you
they're
see, they
perfect.
think they are perfect. They think that, yes, I know better than everybody else, and I have to be the savior of mankind. I have to be the savior of everybody. And this is how people see them. They see themselves as savior when they have not saved themselves. How you will save somebody else? I always say first, everything starts with yourself. To love God, you have to start loving the creation of God. You can't love God without loving his creation. And his creation first that he has created is you. Everything else comes secondary. But
true.
what we do,
very, very true.
We start loving everybody else. We love everybody. You ask every spiritual people, they will tell you, yes, we love everybody. Which is not true. But when you come to you ask them, do you love yourself? They said, no, but that is a bit problem. But that's what God wants you firstly, to start loving yourself firstly. Jesus said it.
Yes.
What Jesus said? Love yourself, love thy enemy as you love thyself. But he said it. First, you have to love yourself. And when we look at our life itself, we don't love anybody else. Actually, we do love ourselves. For example, recently COVID was there, no? What we were all doing? We were all putting a mask. Why did we put a mask? To protect somebody else? No, everybody was wearing the mask to protect themselves. Because your life matters for you. But if you don't realize that now, that spirituality first is get to know who you are. Because you see, we know ourselves, we know the external self, we know the mind self, we know the intellectual self, But more than that, these are limited. This will stay here. But in the absence of the Atma, in the absence of the soul, these things don't have any power. So get to know that what gives that power to the body. Get the power to the senses, give the power to the mind to think, give the power to the intellect. So if we pierce that, we see our own reality.
Now, where do you foresee the global consciousness going? Because I've seen a shift, even in the last 50 years, as long as I've been alive, things are very different consciously than they were 10 years ago, 20 years ago. So there seems to be a growing consciousness. I'd love to hear your point of view of where we are right now and where we're going.
Look, especially with social media, with more awareness of we have to see it also in that way, This open, because everybody have that question inside of them, why are we here? Everybody have this question, but why am I here? What is life about, Is life is just to enjoy, party, eating, drinking, and then what? Is that life only? Life is not just that. So there is this, more and more people are asking the question, life is not just about eating, drinking, and enjoying. There is more to life, and people want to know what it is. And we see, like you said, that shift itself, when I came to Europe, for example, 25 years ago, I saw, from that time and now, there's a big shift happening. When I travel the world, traveling everywhere, we can see, but there is this yearning to know more about spirituality. There is this, people are searching, it can't just be what religion is giving is one thing, but yet they don't find what they are really searching for. So there is a certain transformation and change happening, and more it is happening. But at the same time, we see also the counterbalance of that also in the world, you see.
Right.
As spirituality is also growing, people are searching for it. Also, you see, people are also dragging themselves more and more down out of fear. Three factor, which is very predominant, is the desire for more and more and more, envy what others have, and fear in itself. This is three things that stop people of progressing and searching. Let's see.
How do we get over the fear? So many of us walk around life through fear.
Desire, firstly, this is the cause of everything. Even Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, he said, the cause of misery, firstly, is a desire. We desire things, which is, we don't even know whether this thing will be good for us or not. But yet, we desire it. And then when we get it, we have fear to lose it. And we always we want more and more, of what we got. It's never enough. And I was telling a story today, actually. I had online darshan. I was telling a story of a man was crying. And he was saying, "Oh, Guruji, I love a girl, but that girl have married somebody else. I'm tired with my life, I don't know how to live anymore." I was laughing because then I said to him, before you knew that girl, were you living or not? You were living. So how come you lose that aspect which you were living just because you depend on that person? So you have given your life into the hand of somebody else. So how would you be free? How would you live your life? And you don't know, you see, what is happening now. Where would that bring you? Because what we believe, that everything happened for a reason. If you didn't have somebody now, it is a good reason. I was telling him a story about somebody visiting a mental hospital. And as he was passing by, he saw a man sitting and pulling his hair, crying very bitterly, holding a picture. And the man asked the doctor there, what's wrong with that person? He said he's crying because he didn't get the person he's in love with. So he's crying, and the people have put him into the mental hospital to avoid that he commits suicide.
Oh,
and as he walked a little bit further, another man was crying, holding also another picture. And this person was saying, "Why have I married you?" And then he asked, "Well, what about this one?" He said, "Better don't ask. This one have married the same girl which the other one is crying for. And since the day he got married with that girl, he is in that state. So which
Wow.
one should you pity now? So sometimes
That's
something happened in your life, you see, to bring you where you have to be, you know. But what we want to do, you see, we want to understand everything. We want to scrutinize everything, every corner, and try to understand it with our mind. Why this is like this? Why it's not like that? But we become miserable because, you see, our mind gets so attached to the external reality that in place of turning our gaze into something higher and make ourselves better, you know, that contribute something wonderful to the world, no, we become more miserable, more unhappy. And then and that unhappiness, we can't keep it for ourselves. What do we have to do? Let's project this unhappiness on everybody else. That's what I said. You make your miserable, which is like a small anthill, you project your miserable and make it huge onto the outside, so that your misery can appear little, and then you can feel happy about it. I have done something great about it, you know? But that is not spiritual growth. So you see, there is this counterbalance in both. Really. In one way, you see, spirituality is growing. There's more awareness. But in another way, spirituality is not an easy path. You see, it's not okay, oh, just sit there and sit and meditate. That's it. No, only, you know, that's what people think, you know, very much when we talk about spirituality. I remember I was talking with somebody, said, I'm doing spiritual practice. I said, what kind of practice are you doing? I said, I sit and meditate. And I said, okay, if you sit and meditate, it's good. You know, dhyan is important. Meditation is very important. I said, no, I don't meditate on God, or I don't meditate for spiritual reason. I meditate because I want to feel good. I feel relaxed when I meditate. But this is not about relaxation. This is a thing, you see. That's why, you see, when we are talking about spiritual matter, let's say, we have to have a really deep understanding of spirituality. So, and then you will have experience. You see, you know, when you have a deep understanding of spirituality, then you start to view your life. But often in your life, many things were there spiritually, which we have not taken consideration about.
Let me ask you, are there any spiritual practices that are ancient that could help us in our modern day world in balancing the materialistic world that we have to walk and also be spiritual at the same
No,
time?
the material world is not a bad thing, you see. It is, I never said that it is, if you have material things, it's a bad thing. No, it is not. But spirituality helps you to understand that where your mind have to be focused upon. What is your ultimate goal about, you know? So there is many practices. Like, for example, Mahatma Babaji asked me to teach Kriya in 2011. He asked me to teach Kriya, and I said, no, I will not. Because I see that, you see, okay, people like the technique of Kriya. They like to have, yes, I'm doing something, you know, I'm just doing some Kriya technique, you know, and because it's fancy. But this is not about that, you know. And I said to Mahatma Babaji, please forgive me, but I would not teach Kriya. Then, 2015, I said, okay. After traveling, and I've seen people how they see spirituality especially in the West, you know. I said, okay, fine, I will teach Kriya, and but it have to have something different. It have to have aspect of devotion into it. here again, devotion is not just to be on your in your knees and pray. No. Devotion means everything that you do is with a remembrance of God. That's what Kriya also stand for, to have that awareness of the divine in each action. Kriya Yoga, that's what it means. The word Kriya Yoga means to have that divine awareness at each moment of your life, no matter what you're doing. So I asked Mahatma Raji, please bless that. That the 9 aspect of devotion can be infused into the 9 aspect of technique of Kriya. So Mahatma Raji at that moment blessed me and said, okay, fine. You spread the Kriya, and the 9 aspect of devotion will be blessed into that. So this is where Atma Kriya started now. So it is a very ancient technique, actually, which we practice.
Now, I love we talk a lot about spirituality, you and I both in our ways in our show, on my show and in your work. But I always like to combine it with science and the relationship between science and spirituality, because there is so much. I think you could only move in a greater way into science, understanding spirituality more, because a lot of the things that they're discovering in quantum physics are not been talked about in the Vedic text for thousands and thousands of years, these concepts.
Exactly. It's not
So
separate.
yes, exactly. So where do you see the relationship evolving to in the future?
You see, there is more and more scientists researching upon what is written in the Veda, what the sage have compiled, Vedavyas have compiled about, and what have been written in the Vedas or in the Puranas itself, And more and more we see that people are start to figure it out, that what was written thousands of years ago, now scientists are start to discover it. Of course, they didn't use the same word as scientists use nowadays, but it was always there. For example, when Krishna talked about in the Gita, he said that everything is eternal, you are eternal. Talking about the Atma is eternal. But he also said that this world itself is eternal, that matter is eternal. So, you start to think about, yes, but how is it possible? But Bhagavan Krishna explained in the Gita that these 3 things, which is electron, neutron, proton, that's what form matter, and that is here. Everything is created by that. It changes forms, it takes different aspect, but it is eternal. It's like a tree. It is in the form of a tree. When it cut down, you can make furniture about it. You can make chair, table. You can make wardrobe about. Each one would use accordingly. But when it is finished, you can burn it. It become heat. It become ash, manure, but it stayed into it. And that science have discovered that it is, eternal, but we talk about electron, proton, neutron, but it was already spoken 5,000 years ago. And many things also. You see, we can see that scientists are very much, somebody was asking me a few days ago actually about reincarnation, for example. Why science, there's one thing that scientists are researching constantly of that, because there is so many instances that people remember their previous life, So that is also, of course, science is still far away from digging into the mystery of life itself.
What is your take on near-death experiences that have been happening forever, but they really started to come up
Yes, now people are
predominantly over
talking
the last
about
50
it.
years. Now everyone has a near death experience now, and I've probably spoken to all
I
of them.
didn't have, but I know many people who
I'm
have.
joking. I'm joking.
Actually,
Yes,
I do. I have
yes, me
met
as
many
well.
people who
Me as well.
have had a near-death experience, And
Yeah, I'd love to hear your point of view on it.
well, look, the journey of the Atma, when let's say
Hmm.
it's not ready, it's not yet time for the Atma to leave fully. Of course, the Atma can travel, you know, because when you have a near-death experience, you enter into a state where you are traveling. I will not call it
Hmm.
samadhi, but it
Hmm.
is a similar state of samadhi state where you are traveling, but very often you will see that people have similar incident like a tunnel and they see the light afterwards, and
Hmm.
many people relate to that understanding, because it's also the culture kick into that. For example, somebody which is a Hindu will have a different experience of a near death experience. For them, they will see
Hmm.
the deity in front of them. They will see, how say, gods in front of them. Different thing. And somebody else will have a near death experience. Will see a tunnel and a light, because you see that's what you have been taught in your culture. But it's a
Hmm.
journey towards heavens. You see a dark tunnel, and then But this is also played into the subconscious, into also happening. But I have met many people who have experienced this state of consciousness also. So for me personally, the Atma, when it have not yet finished with his journey, he can go and have a peep into the next. When you turn, you see, when you're reading something wonderful, sometimes you want to peep into what is the next page about, So like
Hmm.
that, you see. But then when you go there and have a glimpse of what is there, when you come back, you're completely different
Different,
also.
completely different.
Because then you have an
You've
experience of yes, life is not finished. Life carries on.
mm. The greatest question that most people have is what happens after we pass?
Hey,
What
that is a
happens after
big
we move
mystery
on?
about it, is
Hmm. But there's
oh,
a lot of, there's a lot even in the Vedas and in most cultures. This has been talked about
yes,
for
of course,
thousands
it
of
is there.
years.
You see, that
Yeah.
is when you look at the Veda, you look at Puranas, you look at even life of saints you know, who have experienced it, they
Hmm.
talk about it. But there is life after death, it's continuation.
You mentioned samadhi a few times in our conversations. Can you explain to people what a samadhi is?
Samadhi is a state into, you see, spiritually, when you evolve yourself, you enter into that blissful state.
Hmm.
So for me personally, it's not just a yogic state. Most of the time is a yogic state which the people who perform yoga or different kind of yoga they go into, you know. But for me personally, because I'm also very much turned towards the devotional point, for me, I would call it the everlasting blissful state, where each part of you reflect that bliss. I'm not talking about love, I'm talking about bliss, because bliss is even higher than love itself.
Mm. When you say that bliss is higher than love, because I have had a practice of meditation now for about 7 years, and it is, I've had many things happen to me during my
Mhm.
meditations. One of them is this blissful state. When you
Mhm.
walk out, you just come back. I don't travel anywhere, but I come back and I'm walking on air
Yeah,
almost.
yeah,
And
yeah.
even my children, when they would walk up to me,
Ah,
they
you're
look at me
different.
differently and they're like, Daddy, oh, you just meditated, didn't you? And it kind of wears off.
Yeah,
It
but
kind of
this is
wears
a
off.
different, you see,
Yes.
love. is the first state of it, and love
Hmm.
keep growing. The culmination of
Hmm.
love is bliss. So we experience different state of love because as love grow, because we see we use the word love, and but love have many states in it, and as it grows, the end of it is that bliss. And once you have entered into that blissful state, you can't lose it. It don't dissipate. It is always with you.
Hmm.
And everything that you do is infused with that bliss also.
When you get to, but during the meditations that I've been talking to you about, is it kind of like I'm getting a taste of it?
You have a taste of it, yes. You have a taste of it, but
It's
you
not
are
full.
not.
It's not the full.
No.
Yeah.
I know one person who have entered fully into that state, you know.
Uh-huh.
And the funny thing is that when he at the beginning, when he had at that first time this state, the wall could not didn't even exist for him. He could go through with his
Really
physical body through the wall. So there
interesting.
were no limit. When you are in a blissful state, there is no limit. And of course,
Is
many.
that a
Sorry.
well, is that a form of enlightenment?
Yes, blissful state is enlightenment.
Okay, you were going to say. Go ahead, continue, please.
No, many saints, you see, they live into that state. They absorbed into that state of supreme love inside of them, and very often they disguise it, they cover it. They don't show it because when you're in that state,
Mm.
there's no need to show.
Right. You don't need to show off anymore at
No,
that
you
point,
don't need,
right?
because you see, very often people are. You see, I was giving a satsang. I was saying, very often people, when they have a little bit of understanding of spirituality, they think they have already attained enlightenment. And then they go around. Yes, I have to give you. I have to be your teacher. I have to give you diksha. I have to guide you and all these things. But it's not like that.
That's, now, Guruji, I'm going to ask you a few questions I ask all of my guests. What is your definition of living a fulfilled life?
You see, for me personally, to live a fulfilled life is to do what you have come here to do, which is firstly, realize yourself. You have come in this world, and life is a wonderful gift. This is the most precious gift God have given you. Realize the preciousness of that. And once you have realized that, your life will be fulfilled.
If you had a chance to go back in time and speak to little Guruji, what advice would you give him?
Actually, what will I tell little Guruji? Carry on, Don't change anything, Because very often when people look at back in their life, they will think, oh, if I could have done this better, or have could done that better. No. Carry on. Because that journey, what we call life, is such a wonderful journey. And it's such a unique journey, actually. And you are unique, you have to realize that, realize your uniqueness, There's no second person like you in the whole universe. There's no two person like you. And that is the most wonderful thing to realize, Enjoy every moment of that.
How do you define God?
For me, God is, we can say, love. God is his creation. God is that what we can't describe, I know many people want to describe him like this and like that. No, he's beyond description.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we put a certain description to him, even when I'm saying him, I'm limited, But as word, I don't find any other word to put, He's that supreme bliss, and he's in his creation,
What is love?
Love. This is one thing which I always ask everybody. What is love? It's quite difficult to just say a terminology directly. Love is like this. I can say love is God, Why do I say love is God? Because that love, what I felt inside, it's a love that keep growing every day. It's a love that it is immense. There's no limit to it. It is something that beyond the understanding, and that's what love is. It's something that keep growing. It is the ultimate. There's nothing higher than that.
What does world peace look like to you?
World peace is a state of mind of each single person to attain. We can't raise a flag and say peace, peace, peace when we don't become peaceful ourselves. If we want peace in the world, it starts with each one of us to become peaceful with ourselves, with our surrounding. Because we can say, yes, we want the world to be peace, but if we don't contribute into that peace ourselves, there will never be peace. If it is just one person, and that person could be you, who always want for peace outside, but you are not peaceful yourself inside, there is no peace. But when you are peaceful inside of you, there will be peace in the world.
And what is the ultimate purpose of life?
Realize yourself and get to know who God is.
And where can people find out more about you and the amazing work that you're doing in the world?
If people want to know about me, they can go on bhaktimarga.org.
I'll make sure to put the link in the description. And finally, sir, what is, as a parting message, what is the most important message that mankind needs to hear from you today?
What I would like everybody, what I would like to say to everyone is to be yourself. Like I was saying, that uniqueness of who you are is the beauty, of who you are. And you can contribute in your own way to the beauty of this world itself. But firstly, learn to accept yourself and see your own inner beauty and outer beauty also. So that is what I will tell to everybody.
Guruji, it has been an honor and pleasure speaking to you today, my friend. I appreciate you not only being on the show, but for everything that you're doing to awaken this planet today. So I appreciate you with all my heart, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex.
Thanks for watching. Click on one of the videos below to continue your journey, and don't forget to subscribe.